Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys my recap and thoughts on Fake Kaleid Linear Prisma Illya Movie Sekka no Chikai, or you could call it Fake Kaleid Linear Prisma Illya Movie Oath Under Snow, which is obviously one episode that's just one whole movie, which was an hour and 30 minutes long in my eyes, and it was pretty tense, pretty good. It's like all I can really tell you is it's a big how it all began from a big blast to the past. So overall, thought the episode was pretty cool, pretty slick in my eyes, and looking forward to see if there's going to be the future of Fake Kaleid. Fake Kaleid. Hopefully there'll be a season 4, obviously, because the way how it ended in season 3 and the way how it showed up in this movie, there's no way in heck it would end off there. So if anything else, let us just get this started. We have to it that Shiro does make a narration how Kiritsugu had one wish, but Shiro had another wish too. Kiritsugu wanted to save humanity or give salvation to humanity, while Shiro just wants to save one person and give her happiness. And we see to it that, of course, Shiro and Kiritsugu does come across Fuyuki City after seeing Fuyuki City being damaged by some black magic vortex, and that's when Shiro decides to investigate a little bit further to where that black vortex was at. And that's where he ends up meeting Miyu at a house debris and ends up having to take her in when Kiritsugu realizes that's the one thing that they've been looking for, and that was Miyu Sakagami, or Sakatsuki, how we say her last name. And eventually Kiritsugu wanted to use Miyu as a tool, obviously, and Shiro had to have that same mindset too, because they want to give salvation to humanity. But eventually, of course, Kiritsugu does pass away from age or disease, whichever natural phenomenon befell upon him, and leaves Shiro to do his work for him. Eventually, as Shiro grew up in the future and Miyu becoming more prone to knowledge and cooking, to helping Shiro out and bonding with him, we have to it that Shiro knows he has to continue Kiritsugu's work, but he later on doubts himself, saying that I don't know if he's able to continue his work anymore, because it's not like how it is back then for him, especially right now in this present time in the movie. Eventually, that's when he knows Julian and Sakura, and eventually he does know Julian's identity as an Ainsworth when he reveals himself later in the movie. Of course, Shiro, on the other hand, finally decides to tell the truth to Miyu and brings her to a location where he found her and her family's graves. He ends up explaining to her that Kiritsugu and Shiro want to use her as a tool, but before Shiro could explain any further by saying he can no longer think that way, we had to it that Julian, who was watching Shiro from afar and let me see here, scouting the area to find Miyu, of course, because that's the miracle he's been looking for. Julian was pretty mad at Shiro to see how he would actually bond with Miyu this entire time, and that he wasted so much time for Julian to even scout around or even to investigate. After Angelica and everyone else did some damage to Shiro, they take away Miyu, and Julian therefore has a couple last words to say to Shiro, and Shiro just gets knocked out because of his injuries. He loses his conscience. Eventually, a person named Kire Kotomine does save Shiro from death or from his fatal injuries, and explains to him what the Ainsworth mission is after Shiro decides to listen to it. And after Shiro listened to what the Ainsworth family is and what they are trying to look for and trying to get right now, and start another war to grant that wish for the Holy Grail to give salvation to humanity, we have to it that Shiro will not abide to this and tries to talk to Julian one more time, and knows that Shiro is a fake, and he knows that he just took on Kiritsugu's ideologies just to save himself, or to fill in the shell that was never like him, that after everything he lost. Of course, Shiro does his best to try to reach a certain location in the crater, but it's no use for him at all. So eventually we have to it that he does have a visit from Sakura, and they end up having to bond together a bit. And of course, Sakura does tell Shiro that this might be the last time, and then she explains something about the Holy Grail War and decides to give a card to Shiro, something that he might be able to use. But Sakura, on the other hand, asks Shiro to maybe listen to her last request, possibly, How about you and I run away from the city together? If you run away, find happiness, I could go with you. But apparently her sibling or her brother interrupts their meeting, and they end up trying to like fight. They had to fight against him because he was trying to kill them. Eventually, Sakura does try to use the Archer card that she tried to get to Shiro to help him out, but apparently it does not work on her, and it seems like she gotten killed, or she was killed. Shiro, on the other hand, who was tortured and beaten physically by Sakura's brother, which if anything his name is Shinji, who has the assassin card, we have to it that Shiro, after realizing everything he's lost, he goes into a maddening rage and activates the card that did not work for Sakura, which is the Archer card, and ends up giving himself the name Emiya, the name heroic name Emiya, in the end. During the movie, that is. So Shiro activates the heroic card and became his own like warrior in a heroic spirit in the end, defeats Shinji, and takes his assassin card. But we have to it that this person was not a person at all, and it was just a doll used by Magecraft for a fill-in somehow. And of course, after like taking care of assassin, Shiro decides to participate in the Holy Grail War, and he eventually took out Caster. And then later on, it comes down to like Rider, and I think Lancer, Berserker possibly, and then let me see here. Who's the other one? Yeah, I forgot. Like I said, like he does take out Assassin first, and then like it goes on to Caster, and then to Rider, and then Berserker, Lancer, and then Saber. And then the Arch card was his last. Of course, Saber was his last opponent that he faced, and then after he collected all the cards, Kira congratulates him and tells him to the location where Miyu is kept so he could decide his own fate. Eventually, Shiro walks to that location, and he eventually finds Julian at that location, and Julian and him have a little small talk with each other. As much as Shiro understands his burden and how he feels, Julian yells at Shiro and says, "You don't know how I feel, dude. Like, I had this major burden on my grasp." And then Shiro's like, "Yeah, you sacrificed one to save millions of lives, right? I know a person like that." And after a couple exchange of words that what Shiro is, like he's evil because he wants to save Miyu and not humanity alone, he ends up leaving Julian, which Julian made no attempts to stop him, maybe because he knows he can't stop Shiro because of his own power or how combatant or how strong Shiro is now. Eventually, Shiro does see Miyu and ends up having to pick off what he said a long time ago after taking Miyu to her origin location and her family's grave eventually, and ends up having a small talk with her saying that he cares for her still, and ends up using the 7 cards of the Holy Grail and ask the Grail to like give a parallel world or send Miyu to a location where she is able to be happy, have friends, people won't abandon her, and laugh, smile, cry, and enjoy life to its fullest. And that's when those images with Illya and Kuro is shown, and when Miyu is being transported to another world, Shiro decides to occupy Angelica, who has the Gilgamesh card, and clashes against her. Eventually, Shiro managed to become his own combatant without his heroic spirit card, and ends up proving a match worthy to give Angelica some major trouble. Even making it a reality marble and unlimited blade works, he gives Angelica a major hard time. And eventually, after Angelica compliments him for being stubborn, persistent, along with having to have very good combatant skills with the reality marble, she decides to summon Enuma Elish and finish the fight off, but not before Shiro used all of his power and magic to occupy Enuma Elish and allows Miyu to be transported to another world and escape. So we have to it that Shiro does lose the battle, but he ends up winning his own war in the end and tells Kuitsugu, "I'm sorry, but this is the path I choose. Miyu, I hope you're safe out there." And of course, like the movie does play with its ending credits and song with like Miyu having to find Sapphire after walking around the city, and Sapphire talking about some cards, and Miyu meets with Sapphire and then ends up asking Luvia-san to help her out eventually after like saying like, "I'll help you collect the cards. Just give me a place where I could stay, belong, eat, and have a life that I could enjoy," etc. And we have to it, of course, that's when Illya does get interrupted, does get involved with the cards too. And the movie ends off eventually with Miyu like killing a rider card with her Lancer form of Gay Bolg, and says she'll collect the Ainsworth card and figure out what's going on, or continue her mission to see the world, or maybe see her brother again. So overall, it ends off right there, and then the credits roll with its song, and yeah. Overall, I thought the movie was really good. It was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it to the very end. I never thought like that the movie like that would be actually fun. Like I said, it was just how it all began, from a blast to the past. So pretty much right there, this was like somewhat of a prequel, like how everything happened before the original series came into play of Fate Kaleid, and that's when Illya became a main character, and of course Miyu became the main character too. So yeah, it talks about Shiro and Miyu in their past, of how Shiro decides to save Miyu after bonding with her and realizing that he can't really use her as a tool to save humanity, and how he met Julian and Sakura eventually, etc. So overall, the movie was really good. I highly recommend you go watch it if you like Fate, if you like the Fate series and Fate Kaleid. So yeah, go give it a shot, go watch it. It was pretty fun, etc. Glad enough for me, I can make a summary or recap that could be less than an hour. No, yeah, less than an hour, etc. At least like more than 10 minutes at most, etc. Summarizing the entire movie in sorts. So, like I said, pretty fun movie. I think you should go give it a watch. So, until then, my score on this movie will be 8 out of 10. Pretty fun, a big blast from the past, and how everything began, and how Shiro became a major powerful combatant, and what drives him to where he is today. So, until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So, alright? I'm Alpha Zero, people. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!